Exit interviews, exit interviews. We got to talk about one. How do you feel now? We're days away from a loss to the Bears, a loss starting the end of the season in the offseason program, even though that's not started. But the Bears had their exit interviews and exit press conferences, particularly the Ryan Poles, the Bears general manager, and Bears head coach Ben Johnson. So we're going to dive into that and what Caleb Williams had to say, some of our thoughts, some of the reporting, got some thoughts on some of the stuff we get from our guys at the Tribune, Brad Biggs, Sean Hammond, and Phil Thompson, just going over some of that stuff to add to this conversation. Also talking about, coaching. Alex said to us, Eric Bieniemy was probably going to end up at Kansas City, which I was cool with. I just didn't think that Matt Nagy should be getting any type of job at Tennessee, which guess what? He didn't.
Eric Bieniemy is still the OC at Kansas City.
Right. Common sense prevailed as what we were diving into on the last show after the Bears' unfortunate loss. It'll be interesting to see. I know that Matt Nagy may be going out for the OC job with the Eagles, which also Declan with the Bears is interviewed for also. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I do think Al Harris is gone, but we'll talk about that later in the show. Alex, how are you doing, my guy?
I'm doing wonderful. It is a wonderful Wednesday it's a wonderful Thursday.
I'm
lost in it. I lost a whole day. It's a wonderful Thursday. Good to be back here with you now that we've had a few days to simmer and reflect on the loss to the Rams and what the Bears' future looks like.
All right. One thing I want to dive into, and we don't have to spend a lot of time with this. We kind of talked about it on the last episode, and that was the DJ Moore situation, right? I want to get Caleb out the way before we jump into what Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles had to say about what's going to take place, how they felt about this season, but also what's going to take place during the offseason and what they look forward or expect perhaps next season. Bears quarterback, Williams suggested when talking about that pass to DJ Moore that everyone was up in a roar about. Not saying it was wrong, but sometimes we can get overhyped with our emotions. That he suggested on Monday that we saw an open space short of where Moore's route was taking him. Moore would have had to adjust his angle slightly to find the space. It was a miscommunication, trying to flatten him off of the safety since the other safety was down. I felt like we had enough space over there. I tried to flatten him off. Even more so, Williams is eager to build the foundation. So point being, both of them was actually, DJ was going kind of where he was supposed to go to a degree. Right. To a degree, right? Because there's still the effort that didn't necessarily seem like it was there. I'm not going to cape for him totally, but still there were some freestyling elements that Caleb was doing, which happens when you're talking about in football. You know that with option routes and things like that. And just all the times that when we saw last year when it was like this young rookie quarterback is trying to tell these veterans what to do, but he's still telling them his kind of pet peeves with, look, I like it when it goes here, so do this in this type of situation. I think that's kind of one of the things that Caleb was alluding to. What about you, Alex?
Yeah, I think Caleb explained it kind of perfectly. And this is exactly kind of what we were talking about during the game. We did not have the piece of information when we were talking during the game that DJ Moore was actually running the route as it was drawn on the lines. But a lot of route running happens outside the lines, right? A lot of that improvisation, a lot of defensive rules, what a defense does will change your rules, will change what you do. And as Caleb said, just to reiterate, on the front side of the play, the safety was down. So basically, he was trying to get him to not run the route more vertically. He was trying to get him to cross the safety's face. There was all this green grass. He threw it to a space. That's great. That's something we have been asking Chicago Bears quarterbacks to do for a very, very, very long time. Throw to a space. Don't throw to an open guy. Throw to an open space. So he's trying to throw to an open space. He hoped that DJ Moore would see it the same way. DJ Moore did not see it the same way. Mm-hmm. That's where it comes down to the miscommunication. And that's where, when we talk about chemistry, when we talk about rapport, when I say, the communication, the knowledge between a quarterback and a wide receiver that comes with years, I've said it all the time. The Bears and Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze want to get to a place where they see a defense the same way. They look at each other on the line of scrimmage, and with eye contact, they both confirm, yeah, we're on the same page. I know the words you said in the huddle, and I know the line that I'm supposed to run, but I'm going to go outside those lines. We're going to get a huge play here, right? They're able to, so many great quarterbacks and so many great wide receivers are able to, again, look at each other, make eye contact, and know, yeah, we're exactly on the same page. Bears simply aren't there yet. Year
Right.
one of Ben
That part.
Johnson. And that's just an example of DJ Moore and Caleb Williams not being on the same page, a miscommunication. Hey, are you seeing what I'm seeing? I'm going to throw it. I hope you're seeing what I'm seeing. DJ Moore didn't see what he saw. Now we can relitigate it a little bit more. The DJ Moore effort of it all, still probably not there. Still probably needs to run it out more. Also, just kind of disappointing. I'm going to take a little digression. A little disappointing that DJ Moore didn't speak to the media at all before heading into the offseason. That's kind of uncharacteristic of him, I'll say. And I know he's taken a ton of heat publicly.
I'm with you, but I think that
he's taken a ton of heat, but that's unlike him.
One, I'll say this: either post game, do it, but
or exit interviews,
or exit interview, do it. You got to choose one, like to be the vet that you are, and also all of the city right here. I was defending you. All right,
yeah,
you're one of the toughest wide receivers in the league. There's too many times where he could just go out the game and stay out the game and be injured the next game. And it's been to the point when he's here, you expect him to play. It'd be odd that he doesn't play. It's even better. And I know some people, this could be heresy. It's even better than what David Montgomery was, where you knew David Montgomery may come back, but then he'll be out some games. This is not a knock on David Montgomery, but DJ, because I think David Montgomery plays really hard-nosed football. But DJ gets hurt, and their running backs who are wide receiver is different. But DJ gets injured or hurt, not injured, because if he was injured, he couldn't play. And he's out there all the time. And I think if we're going to use the blue collar whatever, then you have to use that also when you're criticizing him. Where, yeah, I wish he would have ran harder, but we're not going to then, because I think wide receivers is automatically the diva connotation, right? To where when you're talking about a diva, how many times has he said, give me the damn ball, when clearly it would have been all right if the last 2 years, if he said, give me the damn ball. So you can't just heave all of that on him. Not saying he's a perfect player, but he's far from being someone that is just expendable while you're still trying to build out this program.
So to be completely transparent, I was not in that locker room this season, right? When I left CHSN, I wasn't able to get back into that locker room. And when I was laid off from CHSN, I wasn't able to get back in that locker room anymore. But, there are certain players who are always available, who are always there to talk, to face the music, if you will. They're available to the media. Guys like Kem Byard, always available. Cole Kmet, always available. Braxton Jones, always available, et cetera, et cetera. I can go on and on and on. There are a lot of guys who are available and take that responsibility to the media seriously. There are guys who are in between, who, meet their quota. You're supposed to be available to speak to the media once per week. Most of those guys, if you need them, you'll get them on a day. If you need them, you'll get them on a day, which is completely fair. These guys have to lift weights. These guys have to do massages. They have to do treatments. There's a lot. There's a lot that they're doing. So it's reasonable if, hey, I'm sorry, I can't speak to you today, but I'll get to you tomorrow. I'll get to you in 2 days. Reasonable. There are other guys who it's like herding a cat. They are never available. They are never available. DJ Moore is not that guy. DJ Moore is not a guy who was never available. If you needed DJ Moore, you could get him, which is why, again, to me, it was surprising where what makes it more unfortunate to me is this could have been done. This could have been done and dusted. You could have spoken about it at your exit interviews. And then when March rolls around, April rolls around, whatever, I guess not March anymore, but when OTAs roll around, when those first mini camps roll around,
I think it's April 20th.
Sure. Thank you. You're already on to this year, but now it's going to be the first time people talk to DJ Moore since then. So I bet somebody's going to ask him about it. I bet somebody's going to ask about it, and it's dredged up again. My point is, it's dredged up again. So that's the one side. The other part, we got a little off topic. I'm sorry, I let a big
Let's do this.
Big digression. I let a big digression there.
Yeah.
The other is, do we relitigate? Should Caleb Williams have thrown that ball? Was it the right read? Was there a big play available if he and DJ Moore are on the same page?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But should you throw that ball if you're not sure you and DJ Moore are totally on the same page? Knowing, hey, we just got to get a first down or two and then we're kicking to win. Is that an acceptable risk? And Caleb Williams, I think, is always going to challenge. He's always going to challenge for big plays. And I think that's one of his strengths, is that he's not afraid to rip it, to make tough throws, because that is a big reason why the Bears are explosive, is because he makes tough throws. But in that moment, do you want to relitigate that and say, maybe if you're not so sure that DJ Moore is going to do what you want him to do, maybe just take the check down. Fair. I think that's a fair criticism as well. And then you can say the same thing about Ben Johnson. Hey, man, what are you doing calling this play? Maybe call something a little bit more conservative. And I know that then people are like, oh, you can't belly up and you can't do this, that, and other thing when you have the opportunity to go win a football game. But we only need, I don't know, 10, 15 more yards. They were pretty close. They were pretty close. They were running
have
ball.
a kicker that can kick 60.
But then it's like, why?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
No, I hear you.
But I want to go back. I want to go back to the DJ media thing, and I think you're right. And I love the fact that you're giving the reporter side of it, because that's one of the things that benefits us with having this show. Flip side with the media side. Remember how everyone was saying that Caleb should address the book and everything, talking about him not wanting to be here and he shouldn't wait till we get to camp to address it or whatever. What happened? And maybe DJ, and they will still ask him, maybe he'll do something where he addresses it in the off season before he gets there. He does an interview that he addresses it. But what my thinking is, and again, he gets paid a lot of money. And he's entering where he's going to get paid even a lot more money, because now I believe that extension is about to kick in or whatever. So you still should do your responsibilities. But I think hearing so much, I think we not you and I, taking into factor all of the body language stuff that popped up last year that about him that trickled into the media, how that still was used this year against him. There were times where this discussion, and I'm not saying it's rightfully so at times, of that interception over the back where he should have contested it a lot more in the Detroit game. There were times where it's on him why these questions are asked. But now say this, we don't know how hurt he is. Now, some of this is, I don't think he thinks he's the guy that's getting the ball, but that's not how a leader's supposed to perform anyway. Now, when I say that, and I say this all the time, you can say that, but man, sometimes you're gassed. And I'm not out there running 50 yards and then coming back to the line of scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not me. Yeah, that's not me. That's not me. And blocking, and while some guys running up my ankles or whatever while I'm trying to block on a run play. I'm not doing that. So it's easy for me to sit on my tuchus right now and talk about effort, play after play after play after play after play. I think some reality has to set in on what a human body can do, particularly at the end of the season. As we always say, everyone's banged up, and adding to that, emphasizing this guy's always banged up and playing through it. So
warrior. We've said it a lot. He's a warrior.
And we'll get into what perhaps they should do with him probably this episode, but we're going to talk about it in the offseason on and off and on. Because, I mean, one, I don't think they should get rid of him. But, of course, that cap money and the Bears being a little over the cap, of course, they could sit there and still redo his deal, restructure his deal. But we'll talk about that later. That's not what we're getting into right now. Anything that Caleb said Monday that interested you that we haven't talked about?
Yeah. I think, and I'm going to leave some of this for my one more thing, for my extra point.
Mm-hmm.
I think his response to this, how the city of Chicago has gotten excited and how the city of Chicago has opened their arms, how the city of Chicago started painting their nails. I think that's huge. I think that's huge for him because now, I mean, I've never doubted.
Cats are painting their nails for real.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
I
You're not painting your nails.
Well, I don't paint my nails. I do clip them myself. When I was younger, I would add a nail strengthener. It wouldn't be glossy. Not to say back in the day, once a time I didn't have a little gloss on them, but honestly, but honestly, I take biotin, so my nails are pretty strong.
All right.
So I've always been a person to clip my own nails.
There are folks who are painting their nails. On Under Center, we had the question, "What's your skincare regimen?" We might have to ask now, "What's your nail care regimen?"
And again, dude, all the oversensitive dudes about dude with him painting his nails.
Come on,
that's more reflection on you and your insecurities than. Yeah, dude, that dude could come up with pink hair, and I'll be like, "How many touchdowns you gonna give me?" First off, let's start with this: how many touchdowns you gonna give? How many victories are you? Because you can do whatever.
The state of Illinois, and I'm not sure if this was fake. Nothing on the internet is real anymore. It's hard to tell, but I saw something on Instagram that was purportedly from the state of Illinois. That was like, yeah, my quarterback paints his nails, sometimes wears lip gloss, and has a pink phone. But guess what? We've been here before. And then it was just like a smash cut of all of these Dennis Rodman highlights of the dyed hair, him and marrying himself, painting it, the whole thing. They're like, yeah, guess what? We love winners and we don't care what you look like. You win and you lay it all on the line. Like, come on over. We love you. And I loved that. I love that. Like, hey, by the way, guys, it wasn't that long ago. Everybody loved Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman.
Exactly. That at least that talking point has seemingly vanished, has seemingly gone away. So that's wonderful. But to bring it back to Caleb Williams, his appreciation of that came through. You could tell it means the world to him. Where, again, going back and talking about more things when he was first drafted here, he can't come to Chicago because he wants to be great, and Chicago is the QB killer city, all of this stuff. And he also hinted to like, no, I wanted to come here because I know that this city is a wonderful sports town. I'm paraphrasing him a little bit here, but that understanding, his appreciation of, we lost a game and the fans are on their feet roaring, applauding, even though we just lost. They're like giving us our swan song, standing O. You could tell it means the world to him. And I think he's the type of guy where with that response, he's going to redouble his efforts. He's going to, bring it even harder. He's like, okay, this year I learned how to be a pro. This year I was introduced to the concepts. This year I made all of these growth steps. And now what's next so that we're winning a Super Bowl for me, for my legacy, but also for this town. So I'm going to have more on that later, but that really struck me from his press conference.
So this goes back to old Under Center episodes, where speaking of, does he really want to come here? You had the Colin Cowherd stuff where he was like, he didn't want to come here. And not saying that some of that wasn't true. That is not what I'm saying. My only thing was, I think Caleb is smart enough, and I used to say this on the show, and this applied to Ben Johnson too, when Josh told me Ben Johnson was going to Vegas. There's no way in hell Ben Johnson is coming here. And I'm like, dude, it looks like, he waited for Eberflus to leave. You look at the jobs he's turned down. He's been playing in a division. Caleb is here. I think this is the job he would want. Point being, Chicago, right? Everyone knows if Chicago is hot and booming, it's probably the best place. Only place better and it's harder to navigate would be New York, right? That if you could own, because very few people own are Joe Namath. You know what I'm saying? Like Patrick Ewing isn't Joe Namath. Nope. Phil Simms really isn't Joe. Own, like, be the best.
We'll never buy a meal. We'll never buy a drink in that city for the rest of their lives.
Just like own it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
borderline deified. Like Mike Vick is deified in this town.
Jordan, sweetness. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that. You know what I'm saying? So to do that in Chicago and knowing, man, if I go to Chicago and we do it right, and it's bigger than Chicago. It's around the nation when you're deified in Chicago, right? This isn't one of those.
The Walter Payton Man of the Year award for the entire league.
there are running backs that are younger than us that will tell you that Walter Payton is the greatest running back ever just because of the legacy of Walter Payton and what they've been told of the versatility and the grit and agility of that player. So that just stuff like that is part of the reason that I used to cape that I think he would come here, but strongly why I thought Ben Johnson wanted to come here. So I just wanted to put that out there.
100%. 100%. Or how about
All
you?
right.
What were your takeaways from that? Or are you ready to move on to polls and
No, my takeaway, sticking with that, and particularly with Caleb and Ben Johnson. Caleb talked about how their relationship has grown tremendously, and that's something that he wanted. You know what I'm saying? And we talked about a little bit about Ben Johnson saying that he can grade on people initially, and perhaps it could be a little bit of friction, but then usually people kind of coming around. And he just said that he wants to what you're saying. I'm just going to piggyback and finish it. He says that Caleb, I want to be here for a while, and Ben wants to be here for a while, and attack that relationship and bond between each other is really important as we're able to help put me and the team in a better position. I'm paraphrasing, moving forward for the future. And again, some of this is just what do you expect them to say? You know, like I hate being here, double burst to the city. But it's good because one, you have one of the best up and coming coaches and one of the best up and coming quarterbacks, and they're here together and they're vibing. And like that's the thing too. Like again, I'm not even trying to wish any hate on this, but when the vibes are right, you know what I'm saying? Like how many times do you remember? And I mean, it was that when the Mitch and the Nagy vibes were off, right? And it was like Nagy was kind of like, yeah, like that's not. I don't want to see him basically to a degree or whatever. And I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that with these two people anytime soon. And for us being for the Bears being a team under center that hasn't been star laden and hasn't had an offensive mind guy running the team, and we've cried about and whined about if we had a good offensive coordinator, he's going to leave to sit there. He's going to leave us. Oh, please don't give me a really good one because I just want a kind of mediocre one because a really good one's going to leave, right? But right now we don't have to worry about that because we have one of the smarter offensive minds and seemingly a really good head coach, but we'll have to see what goes on next year. And Ben Johnson alluded to that as far as next year and the carryover from this season into next year. And you know what he said?
Absolutely. What did he say?
He said that there really isn't any carryover.
Yeah, square one. He said back to square one.
And that's the best part of somebody like that. Yes. He said there's no building off this. As you just said, Alex, we go back to square one. We're back at the bottom. That's really all 32 teams. And if you feel otherwise, you're probably missing the big picture. We're back at it. We've got to start. You look at 2025 and say, hey, it was a great year, great start. Well, the truth is it was really hard to accomplish, and what we accomplished and wasn't good enough. And it's going to be much harder to put ourselves in that position again next season. There's a lot of work coming in. I know a lot of players, when they come back, they'll be ready to go. I identified that we outlined what we wanted to show on tape, and I thought we came through. All right. I mean, again, I claim a little BS on that, just a smidge, because you know the things that you can do. See, like if they're like, so we know, for instance, that Caleb has the ability not to turn over the ball, even though we've seen him turn over the ball a lot the last several weeks, right? But we know for the most part he's not a turnover-prone quarterback, but he's also advantageous, you know? So you want that. Being that Aaron Rodgers was one of his idols, sometimes people ask that Aaron Rodgers didn't put the ball in play enough because he didn't want to throw an interception. So you got that part with the gunslinger, but still he's not Brett Favre. He's still got more.
He's
Aaron
like a
Rodgers
blend of Favre and Aaron Rodgers, which is
he is
an outrageous thing to say.
Right, he is. So you have that. You have the fact that the running backs and the offensive line know your running system. You can build off of that. The question now will be what happens with Ozzie Shapiro. You were right. You said that injury was going to take longer, Alex, and Ryan Poles went into that. As far as that Ozzie Shapiro's injury will probably go into next season. So now there's the left tackle thing. We'll talk about that. But still getting back to this, I think there is a carryover. You know, for instance, now this may not carry over. You know what Nahshon Wright can do. That doesn't mean he will be able to do it all of next year. You know that Brisker can be healthy. That doesn't mean he'll be able to do it all of next year. You know that Austin Booker can be a wave. You don't know if he can do it all next year. But the questions that Darnell Wright is a really, really nice right tackle. You did not know that last year, right? Now, consistency will be one of those things. Jonah Jackson, can he get back to the player that was in Detroit? Yeah, it seems like he got back to the player that was in Detroit. Drew Dahlman, how does he act with all that cash in his pocket wearing him down, right? Has Father Time caught up to Joe Thuney? No, not at this point. We threw him out at tackle, and he was able to take on Gerard Verse. Like, so there are things which you can sit there. The grit. One thing that Ben Johnson did say, well, I don't know Kyler Gordon because he hasn't been out here playing. But you know what Kyler Gordon did? On half a body, got out there and balled for you. And the second game that he came back, he played a lot better than the first game. So there are a few things that you can take away. But yes, I know you want to level everything and deflate the egos, and we'll talk about that next episode. Yeah. But that there are things you can take away. You can
I will say shout out to Kevin Fishbane, who kind of pressed him because, you know, the question people are trying to get at was like, what continuity can you expect? What continuity can you work towards? And that's when he gave the whole square one coach speak thing, which again, I actually like hearing that. I like hearing that from the head coach. That's like, you know, it's next game.
But when you have something to build on, but this is a crazy thing. We used to hear that with losing teams.
Right. I like to hear that with a winning team as well. I like to hear that with a winning team as well.
I do too.
Because it's like training camp. You got to attack training camp the exact same way.
You do.
You know, like that was a vicious training camp that he ran. And he probably should run the exact same training camp to send a message that like, hey, 11 wins and 1 playoff win ain't it.
But you do have to adjust for the injuries that came out of camp and make sure that some of that may not have been due to some of the training
camp.
You know, you have to check, like particularly with the DBs. Like, think about it. The DBs went out in this camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to look at, you have to check out some of that being okay. Either can we keep it that high with some of the rehab things that are we doing? Like, what are we doing? You have to check that out because you don't want to start off next year with guys out because you went in the training camp too hard.
Sure. I hear that. I hear that loud and clear. Kevin Fishbane, though, kind of pressed me. He's like, yes, we know next year's square one, but is there anything you did this year that you think will carry over as you build a foundation? I'm paraphrasing Kevin Fishbane there. And this also really struck me, and I think it's true, and I think was the most important thing for Ben Johnson this year, because we knew he was a very good offensive coordinator. We knew he was a very good play caller. We knew he could develop a very good quarterback and like have a great relationship with the quarterback with Jared Goff. But we didn't know about the program that he ran. And this is what he said. He said, yeah, I think we developed that identity. As you kind of said, like we wanted to put our brand on tape, and that brand came through on the tape. The physicality, the requisite physicality, and poise. He goes, I think we showed that we're a physical team and we're a poised team. That offensive line, you talked about, all up and down. The Eagles game was outrageous. Throughout the year, they're moving the line of scrimmage 2 yards. They are the guys bringing it to the defensive line. That's leaving a mark on a team, saying, we're going to do what we want against you. And then he shouted out some solid blocking on the perimeter. Shout out Luther Burden and Roma Dunze. Earlier in the year, there were some questions about not necessarily effort, but just like the ability to get it done. I thought Luther Burden got way better at blocking as the year went on. Same with a lot of those wide receivers, the tight ends, right? Cole Kmet, we knew we could do, but then Colson Loveland's coming in, and Colson Loveland is blocking and being physical and taking dudes out. Kyle Monangai, I'm going to throw DeAndre Swift in there too. Those guys were fearless in blitz pickups. Kyle Monangai is a tiny dude taking on huge linebackers, absorbing the hit and letting Caleb Williams throw the football. So that physicality, that identity.
The DBs willing to tackle.
Absolutely. Thank you. So that, and then the poise, the belief that, okay, we're down 10 with 2 minutes to go, but we have Caleb Williams and we have Ben Johnson and we have a ton of playmakers on both sides of the ball. We'll find a way to get it done and not crumbling, right? How many Bears teams have we seen with a lead or from behind completely crumble and not be able to finish? a football game. How many times did Matty Burfloo say, we need to learn how to finish a football game? These guys know how to finish a football game. I don't think that's luck. 1 or 2, maybe 3 times. That's not luck. They did it damn near 10 times this season. That is building a culture. That is building an identity. And I think, yes, like training camp, you're going to start from square one. You're going to teach the shifts. You're going to teach the motions from square one next year. There's going to be new players. Players are going to leave. Players are going to come in. A lot of those guys are going to be at square one. But that culture, that identity, that physicality, that poise, I don't think that's going to go anywhere. And I think that was hugely, hugely important for the Bears this year.
Being fundamentally sound and schematically sound, he said he thought that showed up week after week and they could still get better. But I think that adds to what you were saying, because there's a lot of times, and the fundamentally sound part is showed out with the starters, but it showed up with the backups, right? Like, and with the scheme. Like, if a guy didn't kind of know what he was doing when he first got in, by the next game, he definitely knew what the hell he was doing. And there weren't a lot of times where it just seemed like a guy didn't know anything, particularly if he was a veteran and he wasn't just a rookie. And that talks to the coaching staff. And that's one of the things that we have to talk about as far as the coaching staff. I don't know, like, how deep, since we're at 30 minutes right now, and we still got to come back sometime this weekend and drop an episode. Did you want to go? So we could just do the coaching staff, then come back and talk about
polls?
Perhaps, do polls and the coaching staff. And then on our next episode, we can talk about what they need to do with the DBs and maybe those that want DJ out of here and stuff like that. We can dive into some of that. So, so let's go ahead with Ryan Poles, who should be kissing the sky that Ben Johnson wanted to come here and rescue him. Rescue me! Because he definitely did. Some of the things, this is one thing that stood out to me and Ryan Post. I got to take this quote that came from him, and I got this one out of the Sun Times. I think this is Sean Hammond and Brad Biggs. I'm proud of the progress that we made Wednesday at the end of the season press conference at Hollis Hall, and knowing that we can't be complacent. We got to keep pushing forward. Ben Johnson and I both come from organizations, Detroit and Kansas City, that have stacked success back-to-back years. We know the challenges that comes with having success and trying to get to back-to-back in the following year. My guy, that KC stuff don't matter like it used to. You got this Chicago funk on you. All right? And look, I'm still a Ryan Poles. I root for Ryan Poles, right? But like some of and again, I was here with Veach. I was here. I was learning off of these guys, and what you ended up doing did not necessarily read like what was going on in Kansas City. All right, particularly when they go out and get their offensive lineman when they get offensive lineman. Am I hating? For sure. But I want to drop a little hate just in there because my man was feeling himself a little bit too much with that one. But go ahead, Alex. What did you want to say?
He finally took the North, man. He finally took the North.
He was behind the guy.
You can feel it. You can feel as though it's a little
we got the North, right there. We get it. We got it. Yeah, we got the North.
I hear you. I think the most telling thing and the biggest question I had about Ryan Poles in this upcoming offseason is how is he going to attack this offseason? Mm-hmm. His whole and it kind of goes back to the KC and his foundation and all this stuff. But his entire career, he'd been building a roster, right? His first year, he tore that sucker down to the studs.
First 2 years he tore it. First 2 seasons he actually tore it down. Yeah.
No, exactly. Like this was a full gut rehab. And now they got it. Now they got a nice, beautiful house. They got the kitchen is nice. They got the beautiful stove.
I don't know if the kitchen is. I don't know if the kitchen. Wait, one big room. Nice. No, one big room can't be done because of that D line. So it can't. And I don't think bathrooms are adequate enough to use. So everything may be nice, but that kitchen still needs some work in that kitchen. I think.
I thought they were going to build a new deck. Like they got everything.
No,
nice.
That deck is not a D line.
Okay.
That's not.
So they got to do the guest bathroom. Is it the guest bathroom they still got to do?
Bigger than a guest bathroom. It's either the owners, the homeowner suite, right?
Okay.
It's not the basement because some places don't even have basements. We're living in the. It has to be one of the important rooms. That D line,
defensive lineman needs. That's a big
yes. Do you know? Okay, let's flip this real quick. I mean, let's play a game. If this was last year's offensive line, what room would you say that was if it played like the D-line played this year?
Oh, that's your foundation. That's like
Okay.
that's like we're looking at cracks in the foundation. You're gonna need to do a lot of work down here.
So I don't know, man. Maybe these walls aren't they. We may need to do something.
It's time for some tuck pointing because all of a sudden there's some water coming through the walls.
Look, the kitchen, the space is nice, but everything in there is old. All right, we got to switch some stuff out up in the kitchen.
I feel you. I think it's new tuck pointing because some water might be coming in, and then maybe some new windows too because it's a little drafty. So these are major things. You're absolutely right.
It's definitely drafty because mobile quarterbacks are shooting up the gaps.
Yeah, exactly. Right. B gap, that's a big draft. Let me go right through that. Let me go right up through that B gap. Okay. All right. So there's still work to be done in the house. But the question is, the foundation is nice, as we have established. Maybe the kitchen's nice. Is it time for the Bears to make a big splash? Are they in a position where they can go get the Max Crosby? They can go spend a lot of money in free agency, which he really hasn't done. He's been very disciplined. Can you go get the big ticket guy to plug a big hole? And now you're cooking with gas. Like the Bears did with Robert Quinn, like the Bears thought they were doing with Robert Quinn, right? Oh, we got Khalil Mack. Just wait until we add Robert Quinn to this bad boy.
They didn't do that with Edmonds.
They did a little bit. That wasn't huge. That wasn't huge money.
I think the name recognition, but the contract that he received is the point that I'm trying to go. I get what I think you're shooting for name recognition, but I think the Tremaine Edmonds is compounded by the fact that you already had a Pro Bowl linebacker seeking a contract. That early in the season he was out playing Roquan. But due to injuries that ended, and that still makes that trade lopsided because the draft pick you didn't do well with the draft pick that you got from Baltimore either. So again, to your point, I mean, definitely you can go out. I mean, he did make some
Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat is a big contract.
Montez Sweat it's huge. It's huge. I mean, but your thing, but this is the thing. What you're saying, free agents. So you're not just talking about, even though this will be trading for a guy, so it's in the same vein of it. But we're talking after season, not in season, trading for the piece.
I'm talking about the all-in move, the shove. The shove. Like we're trading 2 firsts for Jalen Ramsey. We're trading 2 firsts and a player for XYZ. You know that move. Man,
I don't want to give up
the chips are in.
Nothing.
But teams do it.
No, we've done it. I know. It's just now look, if you say you want to give up this year's first and something else, and I'm not saying I can get you Max Crosby, but again, I could be wrong here. I still want to know what Ben Johnson wants in his cover board, and I want him to be able to have access to the requisite draft picks to fill that board up. But look, I could be now. What I'm saying I could be wrong because he may be like, you know what? I got all this caviar that I'm not going to use. I will barter with you for this prime rib, which is what you're saying as far as with the draft picks. That may be what I'm saying. That may be what Ben Johnson wants. So I could be wrong in trying to identify, and it could just be about me wanting to see what his style is as a coach / personnel guy, and having the picks to be able to do it.
So that was the question I had. Is Ryan Poles is this now the time where he starts?
Probably. Because you got to go off of Caleb's window.
Former host of this podcast, Herb Howard, had the same question and basically said, hey, you're in a new position. How does this change your outlook? And Ryan Poles' answer, I thought, was very telling that, I'm going to stay me. I'm going to continue to do the things that have gotten us here. All right, so Ryan Poles says, when you panic and you do things that everyone else wants you to do, it can lead to situations you can't get out of. So I read that as, all right, they're not making a move for Max Crosby. That ain't happening. But I think it's very
But
telling.
You won't tell that either because then you have to pay through the teeth. So you're going to downplay it. You're not going to be like, yeah, we're going to go. Like, you don't need to. Don't be the Baltimore's owner with like a week. Like, slow it down. You could still get what you want. Just like even when we were talking about with the Bears, when Ryan Poles was trading for the #1 pick to Carolina and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, you can still get what you want without being like trying to get that jazzy on it. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you may put yourself in a box. You may put yourself in a box that you can't get out of. You know
Sure.
what I'm saying?
Sure. No, I recognize that, and there is some truth to negotiating through the media, and
Right.
that's real. But I do think it's really telling, the way he phrased it, using words like panic, doing things that everybody else wants you to do, situations you can't get out of. I think it would have been just as effective, and it would tell a different story if he instead says, listen, we understand we are in win now mode, but we have to make sure that, every move makes sure we're still healthy in the long term, right? If you hear that, he's saying a similar thing, but he's kind of saying a different message, right? He could have very easily said, oh, we understand our window's wide open and we got to take advantage, but we're not going to do anything crazy. No, instead he's like, listen, when you panic, you might do things you regret. When you do things everybody wants you to do, you might do things you might regret. And to me, that message is just so much different, and it kind of indicates like, okay, yeah, maybe they'll make some more splashy moves. Maybe they'll make some more Montez Sweat deals. Some, Dio Adengbo was a big contract. Tremaine Edmonds was a big contract, but it might not be the Saquon Barkley deal. It may not be the Max Crosby deal. It may not be the Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett deal, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so this is the thing too, where I'm trying to read between the lines. So I want to go back to when he first got here. And he talked about keeping his powder dry, but he inferred that he will put that powder in that gun and stuff it in that barrel, right? And he did actually do that with revamping the offensive line, right?
He did. Yeah.
He did do that. But I think one of the things too, and this is just my opinion, Kenneth Davis, you have Trey Hendrickson cannot be franchise tagged. That was negotiated, I believe, last year to where they can't re-franchise tag him. And I don't know if how much they want to with how another tagging would be, but I believe he's out. I don't think they're going to. I don't think I think they agreed to not tag him. So one, you may not have to give up a draft pick, but to your point, you may have to spend some bread, And you brought up Dio Adengbo. I mean, how much are you really like? Realistically, how much can you? I don't think they should go into this year saying with him and Austin Booker, we're set. I don't. And I could be wrong. I hope Austin Booker proves me wrong, right? Dio didn't show me enough last year. He showed me enough to be in a rotation. He didn't show me enough to be a starter, right? Like I don't mind him being in a rotation and being a guy that could kick in and tackle at times. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't show me enough as a starter. Well, we don't know who Austin Booker is, but you can't put next year's season on Austin Booker reaching his zenith, because that's the same BS you told us about Jervon Dexter Sr. last year.
Yep.
And we said last year, like, don't do that. Like you can't put all that on that kid because and we talked to his coach at Florida, right? Where it was like he still got to learn all this stuff because the stuff we was teaching is totally backwards from what he has to do in the pros, and he still hasn't gotten there. You shouldn't we talked about the lack of snaps that Booker had at college. There's still a lack of snaps because he's been injured in the pros. Not to say he can't just pop, but if you're going to make a step, now you're talking about getting to the Super Bowl. Let's stop. We don't have to sugarcoat in this bad boy. You're talking about getting to the Super Bowl. So you don't have to have Myles Garrett / Michael Parsons, but you probably do need to have a guy that's on a premium B level guy. And Trey Hendrickson, because of age, that kind of knocks him down. But as far out not this season, the seasons prior, he was in the top tier when you're talking about 18 and 18 sacks per season, basically. So that could be a guy that you're like, DJ, I'm gonna need you to we're going to move some of them ones and some of them twos, some of them threes to make sure that we can bring this guy in. And then you can sit there and look. Now your draft is DT left tackle. Because now, guess what we got to do? Unfortunately, what the Bears have to do, rather. You're going to have to probably look at getting in another left tackle, since your future left tackle is not going to be ready prior to camp or during the beginning of the season, which Ryan Poles alluded to, referring to the injury to Ozzie Shapiro and how long it's going to take him to come back from said injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we talk about the left tackle of it all? A hole that opened up by, or no, let's save it. Let's save it. We're
Let's
gonna
save it.
save it.
That's it.
We
We're
got
gonna
we got
save it.
all of a sudden we got months to fill. All of a sudden we got months to fill.
You
know what's
We're not
great,
telling
Kenneth?
them that.
Do you know what's
what's great?
do you know what's great?
What?
I haven't done any draft preparation whatsoever. It's
Dude.
January 22nd. I haven't done any draft preparation whatsoever.
I haven't even looked. I saw that Mel Kiper's mock draft popped on my phone like 2 or 3 days ago, and I've been meaning to go and check it out, but I still haven't. Do you know how deep in the draft we would have been by week 6?
We would have already been done with our 10th mock draft.
Losers who do that now. Pew! Flee from us. We don't want
we
you
would have been
around.
on our third episode with James Nouveau breaking down the Big Ten players to look at in the championship game.
You know, wait, and we still have to bring it back, and anybody that's still it is ours. But we still have to bring back the March Madness draft pick thing that we do.
Oh, hell
we did.
Yeah.
We have to bring that back because that was fun. But to your point, we would have been so deep. I just remember, man. I just remember times talking to you guys behind the scene and how it was just like, what the hell are we gonna do? I remember what's the dude that was in Watergate, the smoking guy in the trench coat. What was his name? I forget the nickname of the guy that was in the parking garage.
Oh, Deep Throat.
Yeah, Deep Throat, right? I remember it was like a parking garage meeting with Deep Throat. Me and Josh were just happened to be leaving, and we was going down in the elevator, and we was like, man, Justin Fields has another game like that. He didn't for weeks. Man, we're going to have to light him up. And it was sad being a Justin fan, but it was like being honest to what we were trying to do because we're never like, we definitely have lighthearted fun, but I think you get that for the most part. We try to be honest. Like,
keep it a buck.
Yeah, that's it. We try to keep it a buck, even with players that we like. But I remember thinking when Josh, we were said that, and it was like, man, because then that was also part of the future wasn't about to be bright anytime soon. Like that realization started to sink in, and we don't have to rehash that with the lack of talent that was around that said player. But that was like, damn, that's not going to work. That started that wasn't going to work, and then it was a third member of the team that was like, well, you know, Caleb Williams is out there at my alma mater. Not even wanted him to come to Chicago at this point, but had mentioned Caleb is at his alma mater.
That was probably a part of me that was like, actually, please don't come to Chicago.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it actually was.
I would like to root for you from afar instead of have to cover you objectively.
But now he's right in your face with his nails.
He is.
All right, everybody.
And I get to say nice things.
Oh no, you got your extra point. You got your extra point.
Yeah. I do have an extra point. No game balls this week because the Bears are out of the playoffs. So just to the extra point. My extra point is Caleb Williams going to sporting events with Pete Crow Armstrong on back-to-back nights at the United Center, a Blackhawks game and a Bulls game. But I want to focus on the Blackhawks game in particular and why I think it was so important and why I think it was cool. And it goes back to what we were talking about before about if you bring championships to this city, they will love you forever. The people of Chicago will love you forever. He was there for Jonathan Toews' first game back ever since leaving the Blackhawks, since his extended absence from hockey. It was his first game back with the Winnipeg Jets. And the ovation that Toews got was
as he deserves.
As he deserves. I mean, it's an all-time ovation. Dude had to take like 8 laps around the rink because Blackhawks fans would not stop cheering for him. Every time it seemed like it was going to fizzle out, a new wave of cheers came up to the point where Toews is like, this is too much. Enough already. Sit down. We need to play hockey. So A1, I think it was cool that Caleb Williams was a Blackhawks game. Instead of watching the national championship, he chose Chicago sports over the national championship. And 2, I think it is huge for him, a young star, to be on the other side of that, to not be on the field, to not be on the ice, to be in the stands and to hear and to see. This is one of the greatest Blackhawks of all time. Top 3, top 5, whatever. One of the greatest Blackhawks of all time. Won 3 titles. Hockey is nothing like the NFL. We are a hockey town. Chicago is a hockey town, but it is nothing like the NFL. And to feel that reception, to see that reception, I'm sure somewhere inside of him that resonated, being like, if I do this here, oh my goodness, I want a piece of that. I want this. So I think it was very fortuitous. I don't know if it was fortuitous or not, if PCA knew that it was Toews night or whatever, or if it just worked out this way. But I think it was probably really good for Caleb Williams to be sitting in that building as Jonathan Toews got his unbelievable applause, got all the flowers in the world. Again, incredibly deservedly so. What an amazing player for the Blackhawks, for this city. Incredible in every single way. I think that was kind of a huge moment for him to be there and to feel that from the other side, to feel that from the stands.
Yeah, I could understand that totally. I want to get back to my extra point is something you mentioned, and that's the national championship game. I have a bet, outstanding bet, that Kirk Cignetti by 2.5 more years, I don't know if it's 3 years, will leave the Hoosiers for another job. And what's wrong with that?
I tried 1.5 years.
Okay, thank you. And I finally, I'm washing my hands of it. The flirtation with perhaps Michigan. I'm like this, Kirk Cignetti. You have shown by having NFL age players on your team, which you can do through the transfer portal, that my head coach ran away from because he didn't want to play these new games. I got into a debate about, well, why would he want to go there? Because he'd be chasing this guy. And I'm like, no, he'd be showing that he could do what that guy couldn't do. And they always say, don't be the guy after be the guy after that guy. Kellen DeBoer.
See ya.
Kirk Cignetti, it's time for you to go to the best job opportunity in college football. Maybe Texas, but they ain't one. It's time to come to Alabama because, man, those facial motions and antics, the Tide will take you and love you like you've never been loved, my friend. And you like the colors? We got similar colors. Come on down to Bama land and let all this money, right? That Hoosier money. I said to a friend of mine that I know that they got NIL money, but they're gonna be selling crack in a few years to keep them there. Come to somebody that we move bricks. They move pebbles. We move weight in Alabama. All right, kilos, Poppy. Come on down here. I'm joking. I'm just talking about the amount of money that they use for the program. I'm joking. But yeah, that was my extra point. Kirk Cignetti, you've already done for Indiana what you could do. They have a national championship. It'll never go away. You do not have to prove that you can make that into your kingdom. You showed that you can make it into your kingdom. Now it's time to build a proper kingdom in a proper place with proper players all around. They don't have to be 45. You can get the best 18-year-olds you can get your hands up, and the best grown men you can get your hands up.
All of them. There's only one problem. There's only one problem with your extra point, Kenneth.
What's that?
I've been writing USC Athletics every single day, demanding they quadruple his salary and bring him to USC. So you want to talk about Alabama? That's all nice. Okay. And sure, you can build a little football empire. How about everything? How about Hollywood? I'll give you your football empire. I'll give you your media empire. I'll give you your branding empire. I'll give you Los Angeles, California, baby. You're running a professional team. Team, USC.
Let me push back on you. All right. Even with what USC did with their little blip run.
What are you talking about blip?
How many times? How many national championships did you guys win? I'm talking about Pete Carroll. I'm talking about your last year.
Because the Pete Carroll era. It was a good era.
How many times you win?
I wasn't actually even there yet.
Okay, but the question was how many titles that were won there, right?
2? 1?
Yeah, okay. So my guy won 6. All right. So I'm talking about Yeah, but I'm not talking about, this is the thing. I'm not even talking about what Miami did in its 3 iterations of head coach, right? I'm not talking about what the one time USC came back. I'm not talking about Mac Brown in Texas. I'm talking about, this is a place. Also, when Pete Carroll was in Los Angeles, they didn't have any professional football teams. All right, so you were the professional football team. They didn't
Man,
have.
you think
Wait, they didn't have the
fans are
Chargers.
going to Rams and Chargers games? You think fans are going to Rams and Chargers?
No,
No
no, no,
way, they're
no,
going
no,
to
no, 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 no,
Trojans
no,
games.
no. The problem with that, if the Trojans aren't good, they're not showing up for that.
Yeah, because they're
And you
discerning.
still, and guess what?
They're
They're
discerning.
still showing up late. So I'm talking about going somewhere, because you're a football coach of college football. You want to go somewhere where college football is everything, not maybe. Sometimes the Oscars are coming on tonight. Can't watch it. Can't think about it.
Kurt
Right?
Signetti is a discerning man, and I think he wants a fan that understands ball and understands, hey, when we've already lost 3 games and we're playing Nebraska, yeah, I'm not showing up to watch 3-loss USC play 12-loss Nebraska. Don't care. Snooze
He
fest.
doesn't want his players out on in Venice Beach at the Viper Room doing Lord knows what, right? Also, this is my last point. You know another reason why Alabama's the place? Because the SEC needs something real bad. This isn't
The
even
SEC
just
is over.
This isn't even just, that's even more reason.
It's the new Big Ten, baby.
No, the SEC needs this. The SEC as a unit should come, as a conference should be like, I got a couple bucks on that one, right? I know. Listen, I do. We need that. All right, we need something.
TV ratings are down. Quick, get sick.
Yes, that part, right? All right, everybody, as we go into Driftland for college football, you're gonna get more of that. We're gonna give you some of our Bears discussions on Ozzie Shapiro, DJ Moore, the safeties, free agencies, some of the guys they sign off the practice squad. Our thoughts over anything Bears or NFL too. We're also going to be talking NFL here, so stay tuned. You'll see us back in a couple of days, at least about 2 episodes a week. Sometimes we'll do a live stream just to get your thoughts on it. Also, still leave your thoughts in the chat so we can come back and talk to it. The Windy City from Fansided. That's Alex Shapiro. I'm Kenneth Davis, and we'll see you soon.